Am I the a-hole if I, female 25, refuse to lend my engagement ring to my sister-in-law, female 20? I recently got engaged. Yay! The proposal was really intimate and sweet. I have always been very picky about rings. They're my absolute favorite type of jewelry. So obviously I was sure on what kind of engagement ring I wanted even before I had a boyfriend. My fiancé proposed with the exact ring that I wanted, and I was so happy he respected my wishes. This is going to be important later. My sister-in-law, female 20, is my fiancé, male 26, younger sister. She is generally used to getting whatever she wants. She swung by our house a couple days later to congratulate us, and obviously demanded to see the ring. No biggie. I showed it to her, and then she wanted to wear it on her finger. I budged on that too. Big mistake. She took a few pictures with my ring on her finger, then gave it back. This was last week. Yesterday, she called me up saying she's going to this really fancy party this Sunday and wants to wear my ring since it doesn't really look like an engagement ring. I politely declined. She asked me a few times, and when I refused, she started shouting and calling me a witch for not sharing a piece of jewelry that her brother paid for. She told her mom too, and my mother-in-law texted me asking why I'm not giving her my ring. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. It's your engagement ring, not a communal bicycle. Your fiancé bought the ring for you, not for his family. I'd keep a closer eye on the ring for the next few days if I were you. I'd also have a quick chat with your fiancé about the dumb BS his sister and mom are pulling. Yes, and get it insured if it's pricey. So when you announce your pregnancy, is she gonna ask to borrow her brother's genitals too? Will your mother-in-law insist? Just no. As she said, her brother paid for it, not her. And like the first comment said, bring your hubs into it. You need to present a united no. Not the a-hole. Firstly, it's your ring, and you are not obligated to lend it to anyone. Not wanting to is enough of a reason by itself. But this is your engagement ring. They are meaningful and sentimental, regardless of whether they look like a traditional engagement ring. It's not normal to ask to borrow someone else's engagement or wedding ring at all, and it's weird that she doesn't get that. She's being an entitled brat. I find it even weirder since it's the ring from her brother to OP. It's not a friend asking to borrow another friend's ring, which would be slightly less odd in my opinion. I would not want to wear a ring that my brother gave to his fiancé as a symbol of his love. Not the a-hole. It's not just any piece of jewelry. It is your engagement ring. I am wondering if sister-in-law told mother-in-law it was just a ring that she was trying to borrow, or if she told her that it was your engagement ring. If mother-in-law would be okay with that, let her give sister-in-law her engagement ring rather than borrowing yours. Next story. Am I the a-hole for insisting to invite someone to the wedding when my fiancé is against it? I'm 26 male and my fiancé, who I'm getting married to in a few months, is also 26 female. I started dating my fiancé 4 years ago and we got engaged last year. Before I met my fiancé, I was friends with one girl since we were 16 years old. We weren't that close, but we were good friends. I had no contact with that girl after she had cursed out my fiancé multiple times, and when she was acting jealous over the fact that I have a relationship and I'm going on dates with my partner. She was getting really exhausting, and I felt suffocated by her. After she spoke some very horrible words to my fiancé, I cut her off. That was almost 2.5 to 3 years ago. Now this girl started dating my cousin 3 months ago. My cousin will be invited to the wedding, and although I'm not that thrilled about it, that girl will be his +1. My fiancé is totally against it because that girl has treated her horribly, and she doesn't want her at the wedding because she believes she's the kind of person to make the wedding about herself. She's not totally wrong. That girl is extremely weird and is capable of pulling a stunt to get all eyes on her, whether it's negative attention or positive attention. I get why my fiancé is worried, but I don't want to tell my cousin to not bring his +1, who's his girlfriend. My fiancé seems to try to accept it, but I can't help but feel like the a-hole for insisting to invite that girl when my fiancé has valid concerns to not want her there. You're the a-hole. Your fiancé was treated bad by this person. If it was the other way around, wouldn't you be against it? I'm easier with compromises than my fiancé is, and I can manage being in the presence of people I don't get along with. My fiancé, on the other hand, cannot do that because her personality is different. You are saying she cannot do that. Why would you still invite that person if you know this? In order to avoid family drama. If we exclude my cousin's girlfriend, my cousin will be pissed, and then a bunch of relatives will try to intervene and cause drama. Sorry to be blunt, but you need to grow a spine and stand up to your family. Cousin's girlfriend has a history of disrespecting my fiancé and our relationship, and I won't accept that at our wedding, is all you need to say. And if they keep giving you grief, just keep telling them you won't have someone who has disrespected your relationship at your wedding. You're the a-hole. If this woman sounds like she will be causing serious drama, I don't think it's a coincidence she started dating your cousin 3 months before your wedding. Tell your cousin she is not invited. No one who disrespects the bride like that, whether today or 5 years ago, should be allowed to attend. Why does your cousin's comfort matter more than your fiancé's at her own wedding? You're the a-hole. I keep waiting to see a legitimate explanation for this. A cousin can't bring a girlfriend of 3 months, versus the bride has to deal with the stress of knowing a person who harassed and insulted her that they had to cut out of their lives is coming and can cause drama at her wedding. How on earth is this even a debate? Your fiancé has to feel like your lowest possible priority right now. You're the a-hole. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for turning down the best man role and disrespecting the couple's wishes? I will provide some context before getting to the actual story. I come from a country where bridal parties like groomsmen and bridesmaids are not a thing. Some younger couples do wedding parties because it's a trend in the West, but it's definitely not something usual in our culture. Best men and maids of honor don't have the same role that they do in American weddings. They have the role of spiritual supporters in terms of religion. Now, it's usually just our version of best man and maid of honor in the wedding party, and if either of them is married, engaged, or in a long-term relationship, their significant other is expected to sit at the head table along with the bride and groom. It's unheard of here to pair maid of honor with best man and bridesmaids with groomsmen. Everyone is with their significant other or their chosen plus one. Now, my best friend is getting married to his future wife. His wife has never liked my fiancé, since the very beginning. The reason was that his wife wanted to set me up with her cousin, and I rejected her cousin by getting with my fiancé, and ruined her plans. Throughout my 7-year relationship with my fiancé, my friend's wife was doing sketchy things at the beginning to get us to break up, and later she'd just be extremely shady. I put an end to this behavior by speaking to my best friend about his partner's behavior, and how she has no right to treat my fiancé like that. Now on the wedding. The bride decided she wants an actual wedding party full of groomsmen and bridesmaids. She was a very traditional person who always judged that new Western trend, so it came to our surprise how she chose to do that. Later it became clear, when she announced the wedding party will be paired with each other, and their significant others will not be their significant others for the day, and will have to play pretend with the other wedding party members. So as best man, she wanted to pair me with a maid of honor, who was none other than the cousin she wanted to set me up with. I was expected to walk with maid of honor, dance intimately with maid of honor, sit with maid of honor during dinner, while my significant other would be seated with some random guests she didn't know. Seeing through the bride's intentions, I said that they either changed the plan or I'm stepping down because I know what she's trying to do. She always hated that bridesmaid trend, and she always frowned upon it, but suddenly she wants to adopt every single part of American wedding culture out of spite for me and my fiancé's relationship? My best friend said to either take it or leave it. And then bride pulled the "it's my wedding" excuse and said that even if she wanted us to fake kiss with maid of honor, we should be expected to do it out of respect for her wedding day. I said I'm stepping down from the best man role if it means my relationship to my fiancé is disrespected like that. Our friends understand my reasoning for stepping down, but still claim I'm the a-hole because I'm obligated to respect the couple's wishes no matter what. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Also, the bride is getting the Western tradition wrong. You don't pretend to be in a relationship with a maid of honor as the best man, and you certainly don't fake kiss. Frankly, even in the States, I would turn down this request, because it's completely wacky and usually disrespectful to the fact I'm in a relationship. No one should ask you to act like you're not for a night. I always found this tradition tacky because I find it disrespectful to have someone's significant other separate from them in such an event. But that's just because I grew up differently in another culture and it's not the norm here. She has the Western tradition completely wrong. The only time the best man and maid of honor are paired up is for the walk back down the aisle after the ceremony. They're not treated like a couple during the rest of the celebration. Not stay home. Her demand is bizarre. She says she's seen bridesmaids and groomsmen paired for the dance too, and that they have a separate wedding party table where actual significant others aren't allowed. I've seen similar stuff too, to be honest, all over social media, so she's not entirely making it up. It's just that she frowned upon said trend until she saw how she could use it to her benefit to pair me with her maid of honor. Not today, home. I'm so glad you're standing up for your fiancé. When people ask you, don't even make it about the bride. Simply say you are not comfortable performing the requested tasks, especially the things that require you are somewhat intimate with someone other than your fiancé. At first, that's what I said to my friends before telling them the actual reason, since some of them weren't aware of how my friend's wife treated my fiancé and why. At first, I said I don't feel comfortable. That led them to calling my fiancé insecure, and that she could handle not being all coupley with me for one night. After I saw them calling her names, I actually told them the exact reason I'm stepping down. And I'm feeling disrespected since they weren't aware of what was going on all these years, and my fiancé and I didn't want to be petty and expose my friend's wife before. They said that makes me more justified, but I still should not have stepped down because respecting the couple's wishes on their wedding day is more important than my relationship and whether someone will take offense. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to fly with my ex even though we're going to the same wedding and share kids? So my ex's cousin is getting married soon and our families are friends, so I got invited. The wedding is in a different country, and my ex suggested that we, me, him, and our kids, fly together, but I said no. He then told me he would be taking our kids, since it was technically his custody time the day of his flight, so I agreed and said I would see them there then, which he didn't like. He thinks I'm being stubborn and ridiculous by refusing to just all go together, and after realizing none of his attempts to convince me were working, is now angry at me. Every time we interact, he mentions it, and it always turns into an argument. Some of the things he said to try to convince me were that the kids would like it. It would make childcare easier for both of us since flying with small children can be hard. It would be free and easy for me since he would handle everything, etc. My family also think I'm being stubborn and that I should just agree. Am I the a-hole for refusing? Not the a-hole. It would make childcare easier for both of us since flying with small children can be hard. Your ex just doesn't want to deal with the kids on the plane. He asked that the kids fly with him after Opie declined his offer to fly together. So your assumption that he's a crappy father is absurd. It's his time, so I'm not sure that assumption is correct. Not saying he's an awful parent, just that flying with kids is no joke. I think it was a bluff. He was hoping she would protest or give in to flying together. Now he's pissed because things aren't going the way he planned. Not today, home. For the people not paying attention, red flags. That is her ex. He is trying to control Opie and force her to spend time with him. If this was just about the kids, guess what? It's his days and he will have them. There is no reason for Opie to be with him. It's not any different if they had been at home swapping kids like normal. Why is the ex demanding that Opie must be with him? Her kid-free time is her time to do as she pleases. If she wants to be with her boyfriend while she has the kids, then that's her choice. Repeat, it's her ex. He doesn't get the pleasure of her company anymore. And him using the kids as an excuse is just wrong. Exactly. She doesn't have to explain. She said no. What is it with people seeing a no as a let's argue? Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend that I don't like the gift she got me and asking for something else? My girlfriend, 22 female and I, 26 male, have been together for almost 4 years and live together. She has a stable career and has bought herself a car and was taught to drive in high school. I was never taught to drive, and it's not really necessary because I can Uber, take the bus, or my girlfriend can drive. She's offered before to teach me to drive, but I declined because I'm not really interested in learning, because I don't plan on getting a car since they cost a lot of money. So, my birthday was yesterday and my girlfriend was really excited to give me my gift. It was private driving lessons, which admittedly cost her several $100s. I was really offended because I don't want to learn to drive. She hyped the gift up like I'd love it, but I honestly hate it. It seems more like it's for her because she wants me to learn to drive than it is for me. I got really upset and disappointed when I opened it, and she kept pushing to ask why I didn't like it. I told her again that I don't care for driving, and it seemed like a really impersonal gift, because I don't even want my license or a car, so why would I want this? I felt like she doesn't even know me. And she got really upset, so I suggested she return the lessons and get me something I would like better. Now she's calling me Nahal and said the lessons are non-refundable and is really upset with me. I don't think I'm the a-hole because I've told her before that I don't want to drive, but I feel like she's trying to change me. So now she's being immature and won't drive me anywhere and tells me I can Uber if I want to go somewhere, even if it's somewhere she was going to go already. Like she went thrifting and to the grocery store without me. We always go together, and said if I really wanted to go that badly, I can Uber. It's not even like I ask her for rides ever. I just tag along if she's already going somewhere. I get Ubers to and from work and have a good job, so it's pointless for me to even get a car or license. When I told her that, she said that she's tired of always being the driver and likes to be the passenger sometimes. But to me it sounds like she gave me a gift that she wants. Because if she hates being the driver so much, I suggested that I could get lessons for her birthday, not mine, and that upset her even more. She said that it isn't a gift for her, and she'd be upset if I got myself driving lessons for her birthday. I told her basically, see, so you'd be upset if I got you something that you think is for me for your birthday. And she said yes. So even though I explained to her there's a double standard, she's still insisting that I'm the a-hole. Info, how much do you financially compensate your girlfriend for driving you about? I don't, because I don't ask her for rides. I just tag along if she's going somewhere. So you never get a ride anywhere that she isn't already going? What happens if she doesn't want to drive? Or if she wants to have a drink? We don't drink because she doesn't want to pay for an Uber. So we just drink at home if we do. And if she doesn't want to go somewhere, then we just don't go. But she'll usually end up needing to go places eventually, like the grocery store or whatever. You're the a-hole. Read between the lines, dude. She's tired of driving you around everywhere. It's one thing to be unable to drive. It's a whole other thing to just refuse to drive. What's going to happen if there's an emergency? But mommy, I don't want to drive. I can just mooch off other people who acquired their basic freaking skills as teenagers. My 32 female husband, 34 males, ex, 36 female, claims I swapped our babies when I was in labor. So, my husband left his ex when he found out she was cheating on him shortly after they were married, like a month. While they were getting divorced, that's when I met him when he was a customer at my store. We had a lot in common, and we started hanging out and developed feelings pretty quick. As soon as we could, we got married. I love him so very much and my heart told me that no matter what, I was marrying him. He's amazing. Then a few months later after the wedding, we found out that I was pregnant. With triplets. His ex called him up and accused him of cheating on her with me. No, and that she was pregnant too. To her credit, she was. And that the baby was his. But he swore to me up and down, left and right, that her baby wasn't his. And I believe him. I trust him. Anyway, I go nearly full term with babies. As far as they'd let me. And we had 3 beautiful babies that I absolutely adore. My husband was blubbering when we finally had all 3 of our beautiful healthy babies. But it turns out when I was in labor, his ex went into labor too. And she had her sweet baby that unfortunately had to go to the NICU. My mother-in-law informed us of this later, because their mothers are friends still, after we came home with the babies. After taking time off social media to, recover from having triplets, I started receiving all these nasty messages calling me hurtful names and telling me I was a monster. Turns out, after his ex had her baby, she went to social media telling everyone I stole her babies and that I gave her my sickly baby. And all her little friends took up the cost for her and started harassing me. I'm baffled because how? How was he planted with my babies? Because I have a small torso and those 3 went out. Also, my babies were big and tall like their daddy, not tiny like me. She has demanded I give her her babies back and to take her preemie baby, which I'm never going to do. And my husband has told her several times already. My brain is tired. I don't know what to do. Does anyone have any advice for me, please? Now for the top advice. Call the police and get a restraining order and a lawyer. She's screwed in the head. Yes, this immediately. She's not well. I would be very, very wary of her. I would also cease communication with her immediately. Yup, block everywhere and get the cops involved. Thankfully, my ex's new wife swapped my 3 healthy babies with this one. Sounds pretty crazy. Call the police and ask them to do a welfare check. That the baby she's currently taking care of needs to be checked. If she has psychosis, then that baby needs to be taken in by someone else whilst she gets help. Show the police everything and tell them you are scared that this child is in the house of someone who sounds like she's going through psychosis. I would definitely get a restraining order and make sure you block all contact with her on social media. Block anyone who tries to contact you. This definitely sounds like postpartum psychosis. Very sad and very scary. Hope she gets help and that baby stays safe. People don't realize how much hormones and pregnancy can cause severe mental health issues. 100%. I had a patient who had PPP. She ended up ending her newborn, went to the top of a building, and jumped off of it. She survived, but ended up having her 2 other kids taken off of her. It has been told that if she has kids in the future, they'll be immediately taken off of her. It's sad and it sucks, but this lady needs help. Info. Was a paternity test done on her child? My husband said she hasn't asked for a paternity test, but he would gladly do one if it will settle things. Next story. My sister found out our parents want to abandon her. I'm female 32, the oldest of 4. 2 of my siblings are adults with their own home/apartment, but my youngest sister is 10. My baby sister wasn't planned nor wanted by my parents, 65 female and 68 male, and they decided to leave raising her to us. We were 22, 18, and 17 when she was born. When I got my own apartment, they started leaving her with me for a few days a week because they needed a break. I'm not sure why none of us called CPS, so they're technically still her legal parents. A few months ago, they decided they wanted to let me adopt her so they could retire and travel. I wanted to take her to the beach for a girls' weekend and ask her about me adopting her on the trip. I was going to frame it as them being too old to take care of her to try to make it hurt less. But today she walked in on my parents talking about buying a tiny house and the whole thing came out. She's been extremely quiet and withdrawn since. Honestly, the best way I could describe the situation is that someone broke my sweet, bubbly, happy baby sister. I know she needs to go to therapy, but is there anything I can do to help her in the meantime? I doubt you'll be able to do anything to make her feel better. Just be there for her. But hold up a second. Your mother was 55 when she had her? Yes. The women in my family tend to be able to have kids later, but she was definitely a surprise to all of us. My grandma had my aunt at 55. I hope I'm menopaused by then. I'm so sorry for your situation, and so glad your sister has you. As a parent, here are my recommendations. 1. Get her therapy immediately. 2. Tell her every day that you love her, that she belongs there with you and you will always be there for her. 3. Make sure your parents are paying child support. Yes, the very least they can do is pay child support since they are the damn parents. They can just foist her off on someone else because they want to go play. Crappy parents. Raise the kid until she's 10 and then ditch her to play around the world. If you couldn't raise the kids, don't have the kids. Screw those people. She must be so absolutely heartbroken and scared. I would just take her home with you, if you can, and cut your parents off. She needs to know she's loved, and you will protect her. If you go and get her, are your parents really going to stop you? I'd also be worried about her hurting herself, so it might be best she can be with someone who loves her anyway. She's staying with me right now. She's so scared that I'm going to leave her too, so she's clinging to me while trying to keep her distance, and it's breaking my heart. Poor baby. My dad left me when I was 8. Obviously a different situation, but all I could say is just be there for her. Over time, she'll realize you're not going anywhere and hopefully she will come down a bit. Does she have a room at your place? Maybe doing up a space for her with things she has picked out and knows are hers will help. I know everyone is saying therapy for her, but I hope you're getting the support you need too. Next story is titled, My 30 female husband 30 male and in-laws seem to forget that I'm a person and not an incubator. I'm currently pregnant with our first child and my in-laws' first grandchild. Everyone seems to have an opinion on how I'm handling my pregnancy, and I understand they're just excited, but it's starting to feel like they've stopped seeing me as a person and think I'm just this golden incubator. I'm pretty much not allowed to do anything except for rest without everyone overreacting. Once, I was craving something my family used to cook, so I went to make it. And when my husband saw me, he freaked out and asked me why I didn't ask our cook to make it. and insisted I go lay down again. That's another thing. We now have a cook and a cleaner because he doesn't want me to worry about anything, but also wants to make sure I'm eating as healthy as possible. Another time we went on vacation with my in-laws, and when I went to get some of our luggage, they all freaked out and were acting like I would break if I just carried one bag. My mother-in-law is constantly forcing me to eat and drink things that are supposed to be good for the baby, and whenever I say no, she makes me feel guilty until I take it. Also, I've lost count of how many times I've been recommended not to eat something because they don't think it's good for the baby. Sometimes they all talk about me/the baby like I'm not even there. They have minded my child's entire future planned out and don't seem to realize I might actually not agree with some of their ideas. When I suggest we do certain things, they say things like, "I'm not sure that's good for the baby." I know they're not doing any of this to be malicious, and they're just really excited about the baby, but it's making me feel horrible. I have a good relationship with my in-laws outside of this, and my relationship with my husband has been fantastic. So I would like to find a way to get them to stop, without hurting their feelings. Any advice on how to achieve this? Have you tried standing up for yourself and putting your foot down? Tell your husband to fire the cook, because you can cook for yourself. If you want. Tell your family you can carry a bag just fine. Tell them you'll eat what you want. You obviously have done research on what you shouldn't be eating, and you will make choices you feel is right. If you don't stand up for yourself, people usually want to stand up for you, especially when you're in a position that makes you vulnerable, aka pregnancy. I would have told it against them for trying to help, but I think this is in big part of your fault for not setting boundaries. I've tried to, but I always end up feeling guilty and backing down. Again, consider it practice for when you're dealing with a stubborn toddler. They'll pull out all the stops too. Sometimes you just gotta put your foot down and let them sulk it out. For the in-laws, I am the mother here. I decide what's good for the baby. I appreciate that you're trying to be helpful, but when I say no or thanks but I'm doing it this way to something, I really need that to be the end of discussion. Or, hey guys, I'm right here, for the times when they just flat out ignore you. As for your husband, you need to have a more serious sit-down conversation about the fact that him treating you like you can't do anything is causing more stress than if he'd back off and trust you to ask for help when you need it. Even more importantly, you need to talk about how to make sure you're on the same page in terms of setting boundaries with the in-laws, because that's only going to get worse once the kid's here unless you sort it out now. But again, you're the mom. Take charge and start setting some rules. Sounds like this can be fixed with communication. First of all, on the resting front, it's super unhealthy. Pregnant women, with the exception of some complications, need to stay active. That's a well-documented fact, so you have it clear out there. If they argue with you, the line, "I have done plenty of my own research and I'm not prepared to put my baby at risk because of the opinions of others," is ready to go whenever you need it. In terms of food and drink, etc., just let them know you're following your doctor's recommendations. You can even make a joke about how if you listened to every piece of advice you ever received about what not to eat when pregnant, you'd starve. It's time to gently set boundaries and make it clear to everyone around you that your word is final on anything and everything related to your pregnancy and body. If anyone tries to guilt you, let them know that if they can't respect your decisions regarding your pregnancy without pouting, then you'll have no choice but to involve them less. Now for the last story. I'm hating my life since having a baby, and we don't know what to do. I never wanted kids. Husband didn't care either way. We're extremely happy and beyond in love. I accidentally got pregnant 2 years ago and surprised myself with how excited I got. Hormones are a witch. I had a miscarriage, but decided I would go off birth control and let nature take its course. I got pregnant in October and was very neutral about the whole thing. It sucked, but I wasn't sick or anything, but still just wanted it to be over. Labor was fine. It was scheduled. Nurses were fab and my epidural was mint. No problems there. We had a baby at the end of July last year. We talked about how neither of us really felt immediate deep love other parents talk about, which was fine. He was/is a super easy baby, and our lives didn't change that much. We do everything 50-50 and it's a breeze. I was on mat leave and it worked. I went somewhere every day, got my exercise and yoga and walking, still ate healthy. We still go out a lot, play sports, have a great support system, lots of babysitting, date nights, friends over, etc. Added information. I've never been depressed, and I'm a genuinely happy, bubbly person 98% of the time. Around month 5, I started crying a lot, really hating time with the baby. I think it's because he started moving that I had to actually pay attention to do things, and just wishing I was anywhere else but in my present situation. I went to the doctor and she prescribed me Wellbutrin. I started a gratitude journal. I did meditation, etc. I went back to work early, and my husband finished maternity leave. That helped for a bit and stopped my massive hourly meltdowns. But it hasn't changed my train of thought, and now I'm basically back to where I was. Cried 4 times today. I freaking hate this life. It's not hard like people say. It's just annoying and frustrating and tramping. I count the minutes from when he gets up until I can ethically bring him to daycare. I count the seconds from when he wakes up from a nap until he can go for another one. I can't get out of the driveway fast enough when we have a babysitter coming over. I have something planned for every minute of the day when it's a weekend, because the thought of staying home all day and entertaining him sounds just freaking awful. It's not him. He's actually quite wonderful. I know that sounds insane, but I hate the act of parenting, if that makes sense. I also just don't get the worth it part. I ruined 2 years, so far. My body, my brain, I'm so dumb now it hurts. My finances, my house, my relationship. For what? Anyway, I'm essentially miserable 95% of the time now, and I can't figure out what to do. My husband just said 2 days ago the hardest part of having a baby is keeping you happy, and he's right. I can't keep living this way, and neither can he. We still can't keep our hands off each other mad, but it's just so terrible. I just wish he had done this with someone else so he would be having fun with it, not me as ruining it. I don't know if I'm looking for advice or maybe someone who feels the same way. Anything would help while I dream about running away. Edit. I'm in therapy, on medication, lots of communication with my husband/family/friends, and my baby would never know I'm not loving this. I'm trying to make this better. It's really human of you to just be open about all of this and there's nothing wrong with you at all. Parenting's like anything else in that it can be crap. You sound like you're intelligent and attuned to your emotions and you've got a good moral compass. Just that being a mother freaking sucks right now. And it's okay to just feel that. You should just talk to your husband and be totally honest. Just tell him that you love him and your child, but that doesn't change how you feel within yourself. Not everyone is built for blissful parenthood, and the crap side of it isn't discussed nearly enough. I believe if it was, there'd be such less shame attached to women who became mothers and don't glow at being appointed a role. You're not alone, and you're smart at a lot of things, and a mom is just one of them, and it's just not particularly fun right now. Try simplify it for yourself and for your partner. Thank you so much. Hearing this a couple of times is making it better. Oh, and he's well aware. The communication flows freely in this house. I do think there's a stigma around hating parenting, and it makes it so hard. Thanks. Just a reminder, this age is the hardest part. When they need you the most. I have a 13-month-old. I get it, he's into everything. But I take solace in the fact that it will keep getting easier. And then school starts. And they just become more independent and knowledgeable. You're allowed to not love it. You're allowed to be touched out. Take it easy and remember, The Muppet Show is streaming on Disney. But HBO has vintage Sesame Street. You're allowed to be touched out. This is a real thing. We often need to touch to feel loved, but with babies, they always need touch. You can be touched out. You can definitely need some space. Also, lots of parents don't actually seriously bond with their children until they can talk. That is totally fine. Sometimes being screamed at for every single need doesn't foster a loving, connected relationship. It gets easier the older they get. Keep your head up, OP. Babies are hard to raise, and honestly, people pretend it's more fun than it actually is. Maybe you will learn to get along with it as it grows up, as many parents do. Sounds like you need a group of adults to take the pressure off of being around a baby all the time. You're normal. People just don't admit all this because they are afraid of judgment. So, I'm pretty open about the fact that this blows, and all the parents around me agree. So why? Why do they make it look appealing and fun? I'd have more than one. I feel like I was conned. I definitely get the adult time, but I could always use more. Am I the a-hole for making my parents choose between my sister going to jail or replacing my car with their vacation money? Plus many updates. I, female 17, live with my parents. I have an older sister at 29 that they had when they were super young. Like I think my mom was 19 and my dad was 18. They did not do a great job with her and she has a lot of problems. She is chronically unemployed and she is a thief. She has 2 kids that are okay. They live with us as well because her boyfriend didn't want them around. I like the kids, but they're spoiled little brats my parents dote on to make up for being crappy parents to their mom. My parents won't let me put a lock on my door because it is their house and they don't want that. No problem. I talk to the kids and explain about what would happen if they came into my room without permission. So we have an understanding. Well, my sister broke up with her boyfriend and she needed a place to stay. I begged my parents not to let her stay with us. They declined. So I begged again for a lock for my door. No dice. I have to go to school, so I can't guard my stuff at all times. When I came home on Friday, I found my car absolutely trashed and the side of it destroyed. My sister had gone into my room, found my spare key and taken my car, then lost control on the ice after a day of eating crap and tossing fast food wrappers everywhere and sideswiped a tree. When I saw my car, I was livid. I told my parents that I expect her to pay to fix it. They said she didn't have any money. So I said that I would call my grandparents as they helped me get the car and insurance. After talking with my grandfather, I came back to talk to my parents. I said that the insurance would cover fixing or replacing my car depending on the damage, but that I would have to file a police report and that my sister would probably be charged for stealing my car. They begged me to tell insurance that she had permission. I said nope. So rather than go through insurance, they are replacing my car, but they're using money that they had set aside to take me and my nieces to Orlando next summer for my graduation. It's fine. I can do without seeing Disney World again. But my parents, sister, and nieces are upset with me and saying that I'm an a-hole for denying my nieces the opportunity to go on vacation that they never had. I just asked them if a lock for my door would have been cheaper. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the mini update. Not the a-hole. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I just asked them if a lock for my door would have been cheaper. Legend. Heck yeah. I hope you learned what not to do by watching her older sister. My other favorite line is, my sister, parents, nieces are all mad at me. Like, why would a sister have the nerve to be mad? She stole the car, and it's her own fault her kids will be disappointed. Opie's parents suck too for enabling this absurdity. Not a-hole, Opie. The children are upset that they did not travel. The parents are upset that they were forced to take responsibility for their Golden Girls' actions. The sister is upset because she's a narcissist, and these types of people will always blame someone else. She will never accept the blame. Not the a-hole, and you still need a lock. I have a security cam, and I have evidence. It was better than a lock in this case. Add a lock and keep the cam. As a thief, your a-hole sister could still pick the lock and take anything again. Not the a-hole, and your parents are still bad parents to her and to her kids. Letting kids get away with everything and not having to face the consequences is, in my opinion, abusive because then they have no idea how to function in the real world. If your parents had actually learned anything about parenting, they'd make your sister deal with this, or would at least force her to get a job to repay them. If they did that, then the kids wouldn't miss out on Disney. Every single aspect of this has been your parents' fault, and they're still failing. Came here to say this. She's 29 and living with her parents while they raise her kids. Seems like a no-brainer that she should be working, and all money going to repay for car repairs until it's paid back. Mini update. Hey, I just got home from school. There was a deadbolt on my bedroom door, and my mom gave me a key. She says that she is keeping the other one for emergency. I agreed, as long as it was only for emergencies. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend to help pay his biological daughter's tuition? This all started 17 years ago when my friend and his girlfriend, now married, gave birth to my daughter Jasmine. They had a baby they didn't want and protected fun and no abortion and gave it to me. I was friends with this guy for a couple of years, and my wife was infertile and was devastated we couldn't have kids. So, they gave us the baby and life was good until the pandemic hit. The pandemic hit hard for us and my wife lost her job. Thankfully, I got a better job and make money now, enough to support needs and barely scrape by for my daughter's tuition. Now, on the other hand, my friend and his wife are living on cruise ships. He makes a lot of money, so much that he basically lives on cruises and owns a nice condo in Honolulu. They wanted to visit my daughter, and during dinner, fancy restaurant paid by them, offered to pay 20% of my daughter's tuition. My daughter asked why not more, and they told her that she wasn't their responsibility as they gave her to me and my wife. Dinner was very awkward after that, and outside I called my friend in a hall for not paying my daughter's tuition. I said he makes very good money, and he can afford to pay the tuition. He told me off and left and went back to his fancy condo, might I add. Meanwhile, my daughter was in her room crying, claiming she hates her father. So much so that she blocked all contact with her biological parents and claimed she hates them and never wants to speak to them again. I don't know how I will cover the 50 grand. It's basically half my salary over 2 years. So am I the a-hole? Info. You say gave you their daughter. Was there not a legal adoption? What do the adoption papers say about what they owe you? Was support addressed at all? You seem to simultaneously want this to be a foster child when it benefits you and an adoption when that does. And I'm completely unclear on which is true. If you adopted her, they are not her parents anymore. They are people offering you a gift, one you seem incapable of taking without sabotaging it. Also, why are you waiting till she's 17 to pay for school? You could have saved with pennies on the dollar if you'd started a college fund 17 years ago. And now you're trying to figure out how to scramble. Did you just figure and tell your daughter to expect that rich bio dad would save the day? Because it sure sounds that way. Your daughter had been primed to ask for the full amount, and that audacity doesn't come from nowhere. She wanted to go to some college with her friends. She told us, we applied, she got in, and now we have to pay. And we didn't start a college fund because we thought the parents would pay for it. They told us no, that we had to start it instead, and my wife yelled at them. You and your wife are the parents, you idiot. You're the a-hole. You wanted their child, which means she is your responsibility. 20% was very generous. Good job for being entitled and raising an entitled daughter. The way my eyes bugged at the why not more? I mean, can these people get more entitled? And now you get 0%. Of course, you're the a-hole. This is important from OP's comments. OP also neglected to mention the following. They didn't just offer to pay 20%. They offered to pay 20% of the tuition and to pay off her dorm on campus or an apartment off campus. They also wanted to give her $5,000 to spend on food, which I think they need to send more. Oh, and apparently, they also paid for 75% of his daughter's car. They have been incredibly generous, despite having no financial obligation to him, and he still demanded more. These people gave you the gift of parenthood when you were struggling with infertility and not sure if you would ever have a child. They literally gave you their child and trusted you to be a good parent to her rather than giving her up for adoption elsewhere. And now you're acting like they're a-holes for not bankrolling you as a parent? Either your child is yours or she isn't. If you love her and you consider her to be your daughter, then it is not any other adult's responsibility to financially provide for her education, including the adults whose egg and sperm created her. And that's the grossest part of all of this, that you don't even see that you are literally negating your own parental connection to your daughter for a money grab. You're saying that she's your daughter, except when you want money from your well-off friend and then she's his? It's beyond horrifying. Do what every other parent who does not have a wealthy friend does to manage their child's education. You should have been saving money or take out student loans or apply for scholarships. That man is not our parent. If he were, you wouldn't be. You're the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for walking out of a babysitting gig after I found out that a kid was diabetic? I, 18 female, babysit for several families in my neighborhood. One of the families that I babysit for recommended me to this woman who is new to the neighborhood. She contacted me on Wednesday asking if I could babysit her 2 kids on Friday evening through Saturday afternoon. Apparently it was her friend's birthday, and they were spending a night in the mountains to celebrate. She asked me to show up a little bit early so that she could go over things with me. Nothing abnormal, especially since I've never met them before. I show up and she starts going over the usual stuff, and then she starts talking about insulin and blood sugars. Apparently, one of the kids, 5-year-old, has type 1 diabetes, and she didn't think that it would be important to let me know beforehand. I have zero experience caring for diabetic children. So I told her that I wasn't comfortable. And she just said, "Oh, don't worry, it's easy," and then tried to show me how to give an insulin injection. I also told her that I am squeamish around needles, and she kind of laughed it off and continued trying to teach me. I finally had to cut her off and basically told her that unfortunately, I wasn't comfortable caring for a diabetic child on such short notice, especially since she'll be hours away, and probably drunk, let's be honest. She started freaking out and begging me to stay, as she didn't want to miss her trip. It seemed like she was about to cry as I was leaving, which made me feel bad. I texted her when I got home and basically said that in the future I would be willing to try, but I'd like to have some kind of trial run, and we could build up to overnight once I actually knew what I was doing. She read my text but didn't respond. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. Since you are neither qualified nor comfortable with performing such a task, you made the right choice. Not the a-hole. As a teacher, my wife has 2 kids in her class with diabetes, and she and other staff had to have special trainings, not for just administering insulin, but also to understand blood sugar levels, the effects of food, etc. This is not the kind of stuff you learn in a 5-minute chat before someone walks out the door and entrusts their kid to you. Both my parents had to work with my endo nurse to learn how to give injections, and they still don't like doing it. I would never ask someone I barely know to understand a care that a type 1 needs. Even nurses at some schools I've gone to had to get retrained when I started there, because I was their first type 1 in years and was using equipment that they had never used. Even when I was diagnosed, I was in the hospital for type 1 training for 3 days to learn what I needed to do to not die. Asking someone to learn all that in 5 minutes seems impossible to me. My mother is a nurse, and my dad was still in hospital for 2 days to be trained when he started on injections. Type 1 diabetic here. Totally not the a-hole. Especially because you have zero experience administering insulin or dealing with lows. Minor mistakes on dosage can have serious negative consequences. Same with waiting too long to take insulin. That mom should know better. Good for you for walking away from that risky situation. T1 here. Can you imagine if the kid has low blood sugar in the night? OP might not have even woken up to catch it. And given the kid is getting injections and not on a pump, there's probably no CGM. Seriously, T1 also and horrified at this mother's thoughtlessness. If it was a teenager who could mostly handle their own care, maybe it would be okay to give a 5-minute rundown. But a 5-year-old? Not the a-hole. She blindsided you and was hoping for the best. Even if the kid just needed to take a pill at bedtime, that sort of thing should have been disclosed when you took the gig. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents I won't go home for Christmas unless they get me a gift? My 19 male sister Bree 17 is a brat. My parents spoil her rotten. And if she doesn't immediately get her way, she will throw a tantrum, and my parents will always give in to whatever she asks for. I wouldn't say she got in the way of me or our brother, 23, getting anything, but it was always really obvious who got more. My parents emailed me asking if I would be okay with doing a low-stress Christmas this year, as in nobody would get gifts for anybody else. We would just spend time together. I was fine with this, since I don't want anything anyway and it would make things less stressful like they said. So I called them to let them know, and they immediately told me what to get Bree. I was confused and said, I thought we weren't doing gifts this year. My mom said, yeah, but Bree's different. You know how she'll get if she doesn't get something. Besides, she's still a baby. This made me mad. Not because I wanted gifts, but because it felt like Bree was getting to be the favorite again. I hung up and looked on the family Amazon account, and they have already gotten her a brand new tablet, a bunch of accessories for it, a name brand giant makeup case, and loads of smaller things. I called them back and told them that I won't come home for Christmas unless I get a gift. It doesn't have to even be a fraction of what they spent on Bree. It could be literally the smallest thing. I just want one gift. They told me I'm being childish and they thought they raised me better. I told them that was the deal and hung up. I told my housemates that I might be staying here over the break, and when I explained why, they said I'm being immature and that my parents don't owe me anything because I'm an adult now. I told them the gift is the point, is that Bree is obviously being treated differently from me, but they said it's because she still lives with them and is still a kid, and that I should grow up and stop being entitled. I still think I'm justified, but now I wonder if I'm being an a-hole? Not the a-hole. The rules were no one gets a present. But now the golden child has to have a bunch of gifts, including gifts from everyone so she doesn't get upset. Scratch that. For your own mental health and well-being, it's time to consider low to no contact with them. Don't keep setting yourself up to get hurt because your parents obviously favor your sister. Your parents obviously favor your sister. You're a whole 19. This "you're an adult" argument is ridiculous. She always been favored even before you were 19. Your parents have made it clear they favor one child, and that child exploits it to the fullest extent. There are people out there who may not be blood related to you, but will be better family than these people. Find them. Go live your life. Don't keep running back to people who make you feel less than because family. They're not bad people. They love me and I love them. They went to my cross-country games and all that. They weren't neglectful. They just have this huge blind spot when it comes to my sister, and I don't want that one thing to keep making me feel bad. I didn't say there were bad people. Their actions make you feel bad and less than your sister. I'm sure they love you, but she's the golden child hands down. That's always going to be the case, unfortunately. You can continue to try to discuss it with them, but you know how that's going to go. If you can't afford it, I would suggest getting therapy to help you out here. A therapist would be able to help you come up with boundaries and better ways to handle this than me or anyone else here. Not the a-hole. Buy your sister a book on recovering from golden child syndrome and have it delivered to the house during Christmas dinner. Your first Christmas on your own is hard, but lean into it. Fuzzy PJs all day, Die Hard, candy for breakfast and bacon for dinner were how I coped when I was your age. And now my kid and I do those things together. Man, that sounds perfect. I suddenly feel a lot less bad. Lol. It really is wonderful. Do all the things you'd get grief for doing on Christmas because they make you happy. I strongly suggest a whimsical onesie, and I hope you have a really merry, comfy slacker Christmas.